All right. Speaking of like year end kind of things, okay? It's the end of 2019. So we have to talk about the top 10 comics of the year. So we're going to do that. But we're not going to do the top 10 comics of 2019 just yet. We're going to separate this list off and do right now the top 10 variants of 2019.
Wow, plot twist right at the last minute.
I know, right? Oh my goodness, what's happening? So right out the gate, we're going to put this Immortal Hulk, issue number 1, the Codex variant. Dude, I freaking love this comic. And we didn't put it on this list, but this definitely could have been a, honorable one that may have made it. But this is a gorgeous cover. If you want to win this, comment down below in today's podcast. Let us know what you think of the video. And make sure you're commenting on the podcast video because we will re-release this and we're going to pull comments from the actual main
the
podcast.
Hour-long full podcast.
21.
Not the smaller little clips.
That's right. So we're going to be giving this away for this podcast. So comment down below, like, and subscribe. But let's get into the top 10 variants of 2019. These are the ones that are spiking. These are the ones that are hot. These are the ones that surprised us. And these are the ones that I'm going to be watching as we go into 2020.
Wouldn't be a top 10 list without number 10, Usagi Yojimbo. Issue number 6. This is the Geof Darrow variant.
Gorgeous, dude.
1 in 25.
Creeping up, man, all year. This book was going for $75 out the gate. We're seeing highs of $100 for this issue. And it's a retelling of issue number 1 written by Stan. And it continues. It has more pages to the story. So aside from it being an anniversary issue, this has a wraparound cover that's amazing. So much detail.
It's like an anniversary issue with extra bonus features.
Yeah, it's like there's just layers upon layers of why someone would want this book, and clearly they do.
It's on the top 10 of the whole year, so well done, Usagi.
Number 9 on the list, we have some Sean McGuire goodness. Ghost Spider, issue number 2. This is the 1 in 25 variant. It's that classic Gwen shot of her holding her cell phone. It's one of those ones where you describe it and you go, yeah, I don't see that being a hot cover, right?
Right.
But then you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, I want that.
This comic came out in September. It's actually relatively recent. The average raw sale is going for $60, but the high sale of a 9.8 was at $350.
Who's the cover artist?
Peach Momoko.
Dope book and key collector. You knew that Nick couldn't pass up making this little edit the day that this was dropped. I freaking love this. He put key collector on the phone.
Sneaky.
Sneaky, Nick. Next on the list at number 8, we have Spawn issue number 299. San Diego Comic-Con. This was a limited run of 500. We saw spikes right out the gate, $165 average sales. We're seeing high sales of $550 for this book. This isn't the only Spawn book on this list. Spawn was on the minds of a lot of collectors, a lot of variant collectors, as well as speculators. And for good reason, with that milestone issue landing just a couple months after the debut of this copy.
And this was the year, too, that details about the upcoming Jamie Foxx Spawn project started to kind of trickle in. So you probably might expect to see some more Spawn buzz in the near future.
Tell them about number 7 on the list.
Number 7's a little weird because it is 2 comics. It's
we had to put them together. Dude.
Yeah, it's a pair. So the 58th issue of Rick and Morty, there were 2 different 1 in 25 variants. One having the co-creator, Dan Harmon, and one having the co-creator, Justin Roiland. So as a pair, both of those are going for about $350.
Dude, we saw highs of this comic, like this set, at $620. Would have never thought there would be such investment value in a cartoon adaptation.
People go crazy over Rick and Morty stuff, though.
Like it's really good.
The sauce,
still,
dude.
Yeah, I know. There was like sauce selling.
We live in a weird world. People love Rick and Morty.
Dude, I love Rick and Morty too. But again, dude, $620 for a creator variant. It's cool, but it's staggering. But it's
fascinating to see after the whole year's done, to see what moved and what didn't move over the course of a year.
Number 6 on this list, we have XForce number 1. This was a hidden gem McFarlane variant. Average sales were $125. $250 highs for this comic book. Now, what was fun about this is that I felt like I had seen this cover before, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I couldn't figure it out. And then I started going through my Rolodex. I started going through my Spider-Man runs. I'm like, oh, this has to be like just a rehash of a cover he's done in the past. And I am fairly positive that this 1 in 100 variant is a cover swipe, just inverted, of Spider-Man issue number 9 from the Spider-Man run from the 90s.
McFarlane's own run?
Yeah, it looks like the Wolverine is just like reversed.
Interesting.
I know, right? I wonder if he will sign that book. It'd be,
he's got a list.
He's
got a list of no-no books.
And he's checking it twice.
That might be on there. Oh, how festive, Tom. How festive.
All right, let's look at number 5 on the list because we're talking about McFarlane. Dude, McFarlane's all over this list, man. We got to chat about Spawn 300, and you know which one it be.
So this New York City Comic-Con Gold variant is pretty pricey. It was a pretty big deal at that con. Apparently, there were rumors. I wasn't there. You were there. But there were rumors that like people were fighting over this, like actually fighting.
That's right. It was one per person, and you had to wait in line, and people were getting aggressive. And you know what? There were only 500 of them made, similar to the Spawn 299 that we discussed. So if you got a VF copy, you got a VF copy. So the average sales, although out the gate it was selling for like $400 to $500, like that within that first week, made the list and everything. Well, it leveled out to being right around $200 to $300 average sales because, there's a lot of lower grade copies also hitting the market. Geof actually got his hands on one, and it was the only available copy he could get. And he's like, dude, it was a VF. What was I going to do? There's only 500 of them made. Well, we're seeing a high sale of Spawn 300 gold of $900 at 9.8.
It's like almost actual solid gold.
It's crazy,
Might
dude.
as well be.
Dude, I think that's a book that could exceed $1,000 as we go into next year.
Never would have guessed.
All right. Just like no one guessed about number 4 on this list.
As you know, Tom, one of my favorite issues of the whole year was Marvel Comics Presents issues 5 and 6, with the introduction of Wolverine's daughter. I love me some Wolverine. So if I can get his daughter in the mix too, the more claws, the better. So those issues were very popular this year. However, just before that, issue 4, you had a pretty cool Bill S. Moon Knight variant cover. And not a lot of people were getting this comic at that point because there was no real reason to, like there was in the immediately following issues with Wolverine's daughter. So not a lot of people ordered this comic. And this particular variant, you had to order 50 copies of to get one of.
That's right. It's a 1 in 50 Bill S. cover. Marvel Comics Presents issue number 4. One issue prior to the key moments in this run. And that's why we're seeing this book being placed at number 4. $225 average sales for this gorgeous Moon Knight cover. $450 highs.
Comic books. This one makes sense. Number 3 on this list makes a whole lot of sense.
Right.
I'm looking right at it, actually. Well,
looking at 2 of them.
Yes. If I move this way, I'm looking right at it. It is right behind your head, Tom.
This was an easy pick to put at number 3. We had to do it. Marvel Comics Presents 1000, the D23 exclusive. Now, we have the color variant making the list because that's the one that's selling aggressively. $250 average sales with a high of $800 for 9.8s this year. Now, of course, there is the sketch variant that was given away at a panel, hyper exclusive, but the color variant was limited to like a 1 per store. So these are both very scarce variants. One, the sketch hasn't even been sold on the market yet, so there's no perceived value at this point. So we have to put the color one on this list. People are still hunting for it, and I think this one has legs as we go into 2020.
That's what you call a humble brag.
Yeah, there you go. And then we have at number 2 on the list. This one, I think, is the surprise of the year.
I would have to agree. I did not see this one coming for multiple reasons.
You got to give thanks to the DC recall notice.
Right? I don't think this would have been nearly as big of a deal if it didn't create like a copyright claim situation.
We have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the freshman Force, the no-number Wonder Woman variant.
Right. And I mean, it's a political comic. So right off the bat, it's going to have a certain level of controversy.
Of course. And that's got people buying it, and it made that book hot. It's actually a gorgeous cover. Like it's a beautifully drawn cover.
Yes. It's very, very masterfully crafted. However, she is drawn as Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it's a big no-no.
Big no-no, especially if this is not a DC comic book. So DC Comics put the kibosh on this.
Kibosh. And that made this comic book shoot up in value like no other really on this list that was sold in the States. Kind of giving you a little bit of a peek at number 1. All right, so average raw sales, $350 for this book. And that's like, you're considering your fine and VF copies, the ones that were read and then, oh shoot, I'm going to put it online because it's selling. We saw a height sale of $850 for this book. There is no other variant that surprised me more than this one this year.
Yeah, I kind of almost forgot about this one, honestly.
There you go. All right. And then let's wrap up the list. At number 1, do us a favor, comic fan. If you found any value to what we do here for you, please hit that like button. It does so much for our channel. We need your support now more than ever. The number 1 variant of all of 2019, it's a Singapore variant. And we're talking about Spawn issue number 303. This was limited to 250 copies. Average raw sales of this book is $400. We saw $500 copies fly off eBay listings. People were aggressively buying it, and it's just an interesting one because it happened out of country. Top sale of this variant this year, $1,000.
That'll do it. Only 250 of them exist, so I guess you're gonna have to pay a little bit if you want one.
Yeah, it's a virgin variant, and you obviously, if you're looking at this cover, you see why people are attracted to it. It is beautifully drawn, and it's done by Cal New. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Apologize if not. And this comic book is only one of 3 Spawn books to make the list this year, and one of 4 McFarlane titles to be top dog for 2019. Congrats, Mr. McFarlane.
Not a bad year for the Todd father.
We do appreciate the work he does, and we also appreciate the market for doing what it does, giving us a bunch of interesting stuff to talk about. It's so fascinating to watch the trends and to see what comic books land in the community. And I'm excited to follow these as we go into 2020.
Yeah, and these are just the top 10 variants of 2019 also, but you'll notice throughout other videos that we're putting out through the end of the year that we're going to be looking at top 10 other things from the course of 2019 too, so stay tuned.